Guys, welcome to my stream. Oh yeah, welcome to my stream. Great to be back. Today I'm a little bit, I don't know. I think I have something like COVID. Maybe I got the flu. I'm not sure, but the last 2 or 3 days I felt a little ill. So every morning I need a little longer, sleeping a little longer. So yeah, great to be back, but I feel I might have caught something. We'll see. It's not terrible, but it feels a little bit like how I felt when I got COVID. And that was in 2022 or so, or 2023. I'm not sure. But I felt very similar. So yeah, and I'm cleaning the cactus seeds from the last live stream. These are Eckart's Schönste, a ruffled flowering Gräser hybrid. Nice flower, really good. Nice tone of red. And I continue cleaning the seeds. I started this around the end of the other stream, and yeah, I want to do it now because these are great seeds. There aren't that many. It had a bunch of fruits, but they all were fairly small. So I really like to clean these and get them into the soil maybe soon. I'm not sure if I will be sowing them out myself, but this is the kind of hybrid that deserves to be grown. Okay. Yeah, and I'm pretty tired today. I don't know. Whatever it is, or maybe it's just because I'm constantly out with the cat and with Mika. Yesterday it was a cold day and I was out all the time. Just because Kami wanted to be out all the time. She just loves it. And I try to go with her because she's so old, you never know. So I'm always going with her and I'm always tired when I do it. So I'm out with her. And yeah, I'm just waiting until she doesn't want to be outside anymore. That kind of stuff. And sometimes it takes a while. And I usually have Mika with me too. So yeah, they enjoy that, being out. Right now, I would probably rather sleep it out, but I'm not that type of guy. I just hate not being able to, I don't know, when I'm not doing anything, I don't like that. I always need something to do. It doesn't have to be a lot. Doesn't have to be heavy labor, just something. So yeah, I would probably do a bunch of cactus work today. I want to bring in seedlings indoors, and that brings risks because we could bring in mealybug. So maybe we will spray a bunch of seedlings sometime soon. Would be great to also have a little bit bigger cactus seedlings indoors so I can show them. And yeah, that's the idea. But everything that I bring in always comes with the risk that the mealybug become a problem, and I don't really want that. So I would probably spray everything that I will bring indoors, and I would spray with neem oil. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Just getting started, still cleaning the seeds from yesterday, and Eckart's Schönste, really nice hybrid. I liked it a lot this year. And I can bag these now. If I would have to guess in regards to the seed count, maybe 300 seeds. And that's quite a lot. I mean, they are probably very viable. So you could actually get a lot of cacti from these. Okay. So, Eckert's schönste 2025. So I wanted to say I found another ugly sweater. And in this case, it's not really a sweater. It's a jacket. And yeah, I like it. It looks really funky. Probably in regards to the colors, a little bit too much. But yeah, I just love that kind of stuff. So I'm not afraid to wear it online. But yeah, this is pretty top of the line ugly sweater kind of thing. And this is a fleece jacket, some sort from the 90s, I guess, 90s or 80s. It's the kind of stuff that I just like. They did at the time, they made such ugly sweaters, such amazingly ugly tracksuits. A lot of cool stuff from the 90s. So yeah, always trying to get something to the stream, trying to wear something that I haven't shown before or just rarely. So yeah. Okay, I brought a bunch of plants where I want to do something and I want to show you. Okay, so this is the container. And I brought this one from the greenhouse. I basically used this as a grafting stock. But when I looked into it a little bit closer, the plant is really nice. So I want to let it grow out. Let it grow tall. But this plant has been pretty roughed up. So I want to start fresh, give it a new chance. And in order to do that, I first want to clean up everything here. I want to remove the nettle that is growing from the pot. Because it takes away the light from the plant. You can see it here. There's a large part of the plant that isn't able to just have normal, chlorophyll production, that kind of stuff, because it takes away the light. So taking all of this out now also improves that water gets out, doesn't collect too much, that it doesn't cause fungal infections. And now I have there's an infection at the tip, as you can see. I'm not sure what exactly started it, but probably something had attacked the tip, and that probably turned into an infection later. So now I brought a knife and I will take that off. That infection just doesn't have a chance to heal. If it would take so many years that it is a waste of time. So I would just take it off. So you can see here, this would almost certainly not have healed. I'm just looking at it, and it tells you a little bit about the way infections travel through a plant. This took quite a while to become so bad, and inside there's nothing. So if you really have an infection that's local, maybe at the tip, very often it doesn't manage to spread downwards. And even if it would, you can see here, this here and this here, these are two separate pups. So it would probably stop here unless the infection is really aggressive and spreads throughout the plant within short time. That can happen, but it's not so likely. In most cases, you can just take that thing off, and you have some time to do it. You have a little bit of time to observe the wound. Think about the best approach. So this has been on it for quite some time, you know. And now that I look closer at it, I really don't like how the wounds here look. Check this out on the back side here. I originally thought this is just scars, but this looks more like like it also could have infected the area. There's a hole here, so I need to open that up. I need to know what's going on in there, if there's an infection or not. Because if there's an infection, we will just take it off. Yeah, this looks a little bit infected. So let's take off a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, it was a local infection. So not really something that would have been a huge problem. But now we took it off. The plant has a higher chance to pop again without that stuff. Okay, and welcome to the stream, guys. Yes, exactly. This is on the flanks here. All scarred, probably a sunburn, but hard to tell, you know. What exactly caused that infection? This has been going on for a while, as you can see. I remember seeing that plant in summer, and I put it into the sun because I saw that it had problems, skin problems and all, but it made it turn to the worst. So right now I will just clean the wounds up, give it a chance to pop again. This is not a problem. It was a grafting stock, but I want it to pop now. This is the body looks interesting. Could be a cool plant if you let it get back, like get pretty big. Okay. This is actually a columnar cactus, but you know, they're pretty similar. Have a lot of columnar cacti and Sorensia, Echinopsis, all kinds of stuff. And I think peanut cactus is that pops so often. Chametzerois is how they were called originally. I used to have a lot of them, but over the years, the flowers are pretty small, and the flowers of these are much bigger. That's basically why I work with them. Huge flowers. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up these here. These also had a problem. That's why I selected them. And for now, I just want to make sure that there's no weeds in it. Let me see what the label says here. Yes, they're good. They have beautiful flowers. I like them. But unfortunately, my space is so limited that I can't keep everything. Every year I need to sort out good stuff that I like. Okay. Yeah, that's enough. I just wanted to take off that infection. And yeah, now I want to go through the seedlings that we've grown. I didn't get to them yesterday. So, and welcome to the stream, guys. Great to have you around. I'm still not really in top shape. I feel like I might have gotten COVID when I was going to the supermarket to buy bird food. I went to the supermarket on Christmas, and after that I felt weird. So who knows? Yes, there are some. There are some hybrids between Chametzerois and Trichocerois. I made some, but very often what happens is that the body just follows the Chametzerois, just follows the peanut cactus, and that's not really the kind of hybrid that I like. I tried getting hybrids that grow more columnar, you know, that maybe have a little bit of both, and that didn't happen very often. So yeah, you are basically growing a hybrid between the Trichocerois and the Chametzerois, but it looks pretty much like the mother, and that was what happened a lot with them. in my case. You always had a different kind of flower, but it wasn't that you had suddenly had that cool mix of both, where the body was 50-50 and the flowers were 50. I didn't have that. But you can maybe increase the flower size by a lot. Okay. So let me go through here. So every time I'm now using the pencil again, I'm sharpening it, trying to get rid of anything that might have been on there. So seedlings look great. Yeah, that, I mean, it would be weird. Exactly. Might make the whole plant unstable. Like that the flower would just be too much for the plant to support it. But that would also, would be interesting, because a lot of these Chamaeterois hybrids, they have very small flowers. So if you would somewhere get into the middle, maybe have a middle ground somewhere, that would be great. Just pushing the flower size on them to maybe, I don't know, 10 centimeters, 10, 15 centimeters. I'm not sure how big they are. Like I said, I know that there are some cultivars that have bigger flowers, but there's probably a limit with them. Okay, yeah, these look great. Uwe Kahle seedlings. So yeah, I will bring a lot of seedlings into the house now. I just decided that I do not want to continue with too small seedlings in the greenhouses. So I will grow a bunch of them inside. If they have problems like with mealybug, we will spray them. And I hope that we can then show more, like bigger cactus seedlings that I can show how they grow fast, like the size that is between, in this case, maybe 6 weeks old to 6 months, or maybe a year. I'm sure that Ernst Spangenberger, he made a lot of good hybrids, and he was one of the breeders who worked a lot with Chamaeterois, so I can see that happening. I didn't follow a lot of that work because even the biggest flowers were still too small for me. When I look at, and they are great, if you look at them and see them as what kind of a plant they are amazing. When you have such a peanut cactus in a pot and they are full of flowers, they are great. But I'm just going into that direction where really 5 centimeters can make a big difference later, because you're always working with plants that already might have a little bit smaller flower diameter. So the bigger the flower that you can use, the more likely it is that you have something in the next generation that will look great, have great color and good size. I have a plant lamp indoors, and it's not, like I have said this before, it's probably a beginner's entry level kind of lamp that I have, that is by Mars Hydro, but it's okay for seedlings. You don't need a super lamp for cactus seedlings. You could put them under a very affordable kind of lamp. Like I've seen a lot of people that buy different kind of bulbs. I'm not really following, because I'm mostly using a panel kind of lamp because I find them easier to use. But there are many people who just, I don't know, look at the lengths of the light that's coming from the bulbs that are available on the market, and you could grow cactus seedlings with those. So, but in my case, the plant lamp that I'm having, I think the model is TS1000, and it has good kind of growth. It produces healthy seedlings, spiny seedlings, really good kind of plant. Really good kind of plant growth from that lamp. I had another one before that, and that one had for one, it charged more electricity, and it also had like that kind of a blurple kind of light between the reddish color that you get and the blue color, and that light just wasn't perfect for the seedlings. So so there's definitely something in between the different models that are available, that where one can even bring more results, better seedlings and healthier seedlings. I never really had to look that much into LED lamps and that kind of stuff. I was always too poor to buy to pay for the electricity to heat to afford the lamp. So I always looked at LED panels, that kind of stuff that is more affordable to run. Yeah, there are a lot of and I'm sure some lamps are much better than others if you look at the money and what you're getting. If you look at the chip and how long it lasts, how much electricity it charges, that kind of stuff, they become better and better. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Great to have you around. So I'm just going through seedlings here, talking about ugly sweaters, and I found a pretty good one today. I'm a little bit worried it might be too bright, like the camera, but apart from that, all is well. These were great, nothing to do here. Next ones. These are still left from yesterday, and yesterday I didn't get through them. I just had multiple rants about social media yesterday. I really, yesterday was one of the moments where I really, when things are inside you slowly starting to rise and you get more angry by the day. That's how the situation was with social media and the kind of stuff that they've been showing me all the time, and yesterday just came out. It was just too much. So yeah, but it helped. Every now and then you need to vent. So these are looking great. Some seedlings more delayed than others. Not sure why. Could be genetic. Interesting hybrid body. Little bit more slender. Looks like there might be an unusual species involved in these. A lot of the hybrids today just look like classic Cantora. And at some point you get tired of it. Okay. Ooh. What's this? So we need to transplant these. I don't like that. I open it up and I'm just seeing fungus gnats. And I'm not seeing fungus gnats. I'm just seeing something where I believe it was caused by them. If not, the pH level of the soil is just bad. Right now, they would stay in the closed bags for quite a while, maybe 3-4 months at minimum. I want to keep them in the bag a little bit longer, just because very often you have problems adjusting them, especially if you don't see them all the time. So right now they will stay in here. This one here has problems with moss. This is one of the problems that kind of affects the pH level also, in my opinion. Very often when you have that kind of a moss situation where it comes back and sometimes it overgrows the seedlings and shades them, that can become a huge problem. So these will come out of the soil and will go into washed pumice. I already brought new washed pumice. I'm not sure if it's enough, but I will try. Okay. So I want to transplant them into into washed pumice. Okay. Got to change the bag also. I don't want to have clean soil and then have fungus gnats left in the bag. Okay. So, and these are Humcus Roro. So just so you know, these are the ones that I've discussed multiple times by now. So I would just take them out carefully. Just try to not damage the roots. The roots are so sensitive, so tiny, fragile. For now, a lot of the seedlings still look good. So this is just the right time to transplant them. Yes, but they will stay in the closed bag. At this point, I want to get rid of the fungus gnats that have been a problem in a bunch of containers, and they will need to go to into the pumice anyway. So now I'm doing it a little bit earlier, and it's not optimal. I like to have them in the more organic soil for quite some time. But when you are faced with fungus gnats, the alternative would be to put them in a clean soil, maybe sowing soil also. But right now, that's all that I have here, and I don't want to leave them in the organic soil for much longer. Because you see, when the fungus gnats are starting to damage something, it can go through the whole container pretty fast. So yeah, trying to get rid of them. And in many cases, that works. I used to sow them out directly in the washed pumice, and that can also work. But the moment you have to open up the bag, you will run into problems holding the humidity, just keeping everything so hydrated that the seedlings can grow 100% healthily. Inside the bag, it's not a problem, but the moment you have to open it up, you have to water all the time because the soil is so fast draining. And that can be great for a lot of cacti, but it depends. The younger they are, the more humidity they like also. I've compared sowing out in different types of media, and the best one was the sowing soil by far. Sowing soil had the best results just in allowing the seedlings to grow fast, have enough humidity, that kind of stuff. Had a lot more problems in that regard with mineral soil. Okay. So now I potted them up. Most of the seedlings look great. I think they will make it. But this now needs to be handled very carefully because that washed pumice is so light. You can easily just move it around by just grabbing it a little bit too firmly. Okay. Nice cross. Healthy looking seedlings. No fungus gnat, no nothing. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, these seedlings look really good. It's probably also, it also has to do sometimes with kind of a species you have. There's some seedlings just look amazing early on, and then they grow pretty massively. These just have a pretty good diameter already at a young age. I think the cross was something like Caesar La with the Gräser hybrid. So that would result in a wider body, in a very spiny kind of body. Okay, so here I see fungal infection on the soil. Hasn't really caused any damage on the seedlings, just on the soil. I'm not sure what caused it, but the moment I started looking into it, I could see that the seedling had come up, germinated below the soil, and that since it came up below the soil, it just started rotting at some point. So I took that out, and apart from that, everything's good. Between 6 weeks, yes, 6 to 8 weeks. That's the kind of the wave that I'm showing right now. I started sowing them out on the stream in the first episodes of the stream, and I also did a bunch of videos before. So yeah, basically looking okay. And the ones that had drier soil, they look much better. So never soak them. They shouldn't be so wet, because it's also good for pests like fungus gnats. A little bit on the dry side, that allows them to continue to grow, but also there's oxygen in the roots, in the soil, that kind of stuff. That's also important, that they can take in oxygen through the soil. Sorry. I have 3 greenhouses now. I had one that was really relatively affordable early on, and then I built 2 more later. I think 2016 and 2018, something like that. And at some point now, I will have to build another one. I really am starting to run out of space again, and every year I need to sort out a lot. So yeah, probably I'm thinking about maybe building one of these tunnel greenhouses, because they look a little bit more affordable, and maybe I can do that. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm currently long term trying to do with the channel, just building another greenhouse on the channel. Hey, good morning. Great to have you around. There's no late to something like this. It's always the perfect time. Maybe it was supposed to be for you, like in your day. I almost overslept today also. Hey, that's great. That's amazing. I love that. I love when parents are good parents, that are supportive, that want to support their children's dreams. I love that. I love that. My father has actually built my first greenhouse together with a friend. And yeah, he wasn't really interested in it, but he did it. So I always appreciated that. At the time, I didn't really know how to use that greenhouse. I could have already started breeding more competitively earlier on, but it was a start, and right now the greenhouse is still important for overwintering. If I wouldn't have it, I would be in even more problems with the space. Yeah, I've seen, I think, Eddie from Macondo Cactus. I think he's using one of those polytunnel greenhouses. The reason why I actually didn't get one when I was buying a greenhouse in 2018, I already looked at these polytunnels at the time, and the reason I didn't get one was because of the heating. Because I wanted to have something where I can overwinter in the greenhouse, and I felt like that just the PVC or the whatever kind of a tarp or material they are, I was worried that it wouldn't insulate in a similar way as the other greenhouse does. But now that I looked into it a little bit more, some of them are pretty good, sold commercially and that kind of stuff. So I might actually get me one next. Yeah, it's a great hobby. Very often it needs the right people, you know. Sometimes people need to approach it that they are living things. And some of, like my mother, for example, she's not so, when it's about growing plants, growing cacti, I often have to remind her that the plants are living, you know, that you have to create all these different kind of things, like the perfect climate for them to thrive in, that kind of stuff, you know. And not everyone has it. Not everyone is a great plant sitter, but if you have like for someone who really cares about the subject and wants to look into it to not make any mistakes, that is a great thing. Like, it can be great to find a new hobby. Maybe your dad will eventually want to grow some cacti himself, you know. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, exactly. I mean, very often it's hard to find plant sitters, people who want to who watch after the plants. It's not so easy. I very often hear the stories about people that lost something because they had a plant sitter. There's so many memes about it. So yeah. I mean, a glass greenhouse, I think it's just a different kind of material with different kind of insulation in regards to the cold, slightly different, and breaks easier. The modern kind of greenhouses, they don't really break so easy anymore. In the past, I always knew people that had to constantly replace the windows of a greenhouse because something happened. Like, I don't know, on New Year's Eve, something like that, a little rocket hit the greenhouse and the window had to be replaced, that kind of stuff. And that doesn't happen so often with the other materials. I looked into greenhouses when I was shopping around, and they had some with a certain kind of tempered glass. I'm not sure what kind of a glass it was, but it was the most expensive material also. I hope he's all right. The dog. Hope he's all right. That sounds terrible. Okay. Yeah, these are looking okay-ish. Nothing in there that would require me to do something. Bunch of seedlings that, yeah, they're growing. Some are a little bit delayed, but not really, not seeing a problem. Really hope the dog is all right. Okay, so here are some seedlings that I transplanted into the washed pumice. And this is very fine washed pumice. Check it out. The particle size really matters. Very often, the particle size is too big, and then you can't grow the seedlings in it because they can't really grow into it. But in this case, it's okay. And they look good. Looks much better than earlier, where they were still in the fungus gnat infested material. That's good to hear. Okay. Let me see. Oh, and by the way, here's a pot that was full of fungus gnat larvae. And the only thing I did was dry it out, and now they're gone. So they don't really take a lot of drying out. And sometimes, every now and then, you can even let the soil dry out and save the seedlings. Maybe next time we're trying that, just to experiment with it a little bit. Okay. In the beginning, I often try to avoid that I have to take them out too early. I just don't want to deal with all that. There's just too much heartache when once you take them out, you have to constantly water, constantly spray, constantly fertilize, and then you have to be careful that you don't have a pest that comes from one container to the other. The moment you open it up, you have a lot more work. So I try to ride the wave for as long as possible. A lot of tiny seedlings. Let me see what's on the label, just out of interest. Lobivia zecheri. Lobivia zecheri crossed with candicans. Good hybrid by Macondo Cactus. Cacten Vers. I bought that mother plant on eBay many years ago. And it's really good. Nice flower. Yeah, that often happens when the seeds are too old. Not always, but it happens sometimes, you know. I really noticed when I'm sowing out, and when I'm sowing out old seeds that I got from you know, when you buy seeds from seed resellers that are just buying from different kind of stocks, you sometimes get seeds that are so old that they start, once you put them on the soil, they start with mold right away, just because they're gone. They're basically wood, and when that happens, it's very often the seeds, but not always. You can also have something like a cobweb kind of mold in this thing, and it can also happen with viable seeds. Okay. These have that kind of an interesting tip. The tip looks like it's a little bit variegated, but only the tip will be interesting to see. Apart from that, they are looking great. Great looking seedlings, nice color. Nice. It's going too good. I'm sure we need to find the fungus gnat today. We need to have at least one on the channel today. It wouldn't be the same. Okay. Yeah, just that apex of the seedling. And that looks interesting. It could just be that it's that the current growth is just there in center. Maybe it's an unusual species that grows a little bit differently, but the way it looks now, it could be a mutation that just shows in certain parts of the plant, and it's consistent in a bunch of the seedlings. So maybe something genetically caused could be good. Has potential for something interesting. And yeah, these are looking great. No fungus gnat. Soil is okay. A little bit too wet, but still okay. Okay, next one. Almost done. Maybe 6, 7 or something like that. Okay. Also looking okay, but there's a moss growing around the seedling, and I will remove that. I don't like that. Just thought the cat came in, but it was nothing. I'm hallucinating, obviously. Okay, yeah, apart from the moss, this is all right. Closing it up again. And when I'm done with this seedling stuff, then I will do the seeds again. I want to get rid of the seeds this year. I want to have them clean so I can use the area where I always dry the seeds. So we can grow seedlings there. I want to have a little bit more extra space. So the seeds need to go. These look great. Healthy looking cross. Uwe Kahle seeds, Reinhard Liske, mother plant. Good combinations, good genetics, and I will just close it up again. Today, absolutely no problem so far. That is suspicious. I don't trust it. I'm sure when I open up one of the last, there's a total infestation. There are 3 fungus gnats coming out of this thing. Oh, come on. I knew it. It was too good to be true. It was too peaceful. I'm not sure what we will do now. In this case, there's fungus gnats, but the seedlings look good. I think we could dry them out now. We could use that as a chance to try out letting them dry completely. But the problem is when let's say I take it out now. Let's say I take this out now and put it under the lamp like this. Just normal without the bag. Then there will be more fungus gnats that put eggs in it. So at some point, I will not be able to put it back into humidity again. I need to keep it out all the time. I could transplant them all, but right now they don't look bad. They don't look like they are in a terrible soil. So we will try letting it dry out. But when I do that, it means that these will stay out the bag for now. This is it. And in the bag, it's a little bit easier. But of course not when you have fungus gnats eating them. So we will leave them out, and this will be a great chance to just look and see if we can get it under control by just drying it out. Yeah, the Reinhard Liske hybrids, they are very long, and his hybrids aren't even the longest. In my opinion, the longest labels that I have personally experienced was with Ingo Bartels. Ingo Bartels has a huge list of numbers simply because he's been active as a breeder for so long. The guy has been breeding for 25 years, I guess. I assume something like that. At least that's what I get from looking at his list, maybe even longer. So yeah, it's just multiple rows of numbers, and at some point you just you need a certain size label for that. Okay. Oh, here's another one. I had the bird food. It was so cold that I was feeding the birds outside, just the small wild birds, and the bird food, the sunflower seeds and everything spilled over my pumice. So now I have sunflower come up here in the container. Yeah, but for now it doesn't matter. In the beginning, when something's tiny, it doesn't take away a lot of light, it doesn't take away a lot of nutrients, but within the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks, I might have to take that out of the spot. But for now, I just leave it in because it's interesting. Okay. Apart from that, these were in washed pumice. transplanted into washed pumice and it did great. So transplanting them into new medium when you have a problem works too. It's always, you can take different approaches. I think I have COVID. I think I have either COVID or something else. I'm not sure. But today I feel like something isn't right. Okay. Yeah, very young seedlings, all too much in the corner. I hate that when I see that. If I hadn't done it myself, I would say, look at this sloppy work. What did the guy do here? And apart from that, there's moss on the other corner. But it doesn't seem to be a problem yet. So we can just leave it alone for now. Moss only becomes a problem when it is surrounding the seedlings and growing a little bit over the seedlings, taking away light, or holding in too much water. For now, it's okay. Seedlings look okay. Apart from that, they are small. But for now, all are healthy. Okay, let me see here. These are looking great. Healthy seedlings. A bunch of different sizes, just a little bit, with some delayed seedlings that will take a little bit longer. But overall, these are looking great. And I think it's Lubivia winteriana. That's such a good hybrid, such a good kind of plant to have hybrids with. Okay. So last one now, I guess. And then I'll do the seeds, because the seeds are really, they are annoying me because it's taken too long. I have taken too long this year for that work. I don't know. I was just looking at my Christmas tree that I have here, the channel Christmas tree, and I was just starting to wonder, is this even a real plant? So I don't think so. I'm not sure, but probably not. And I really hope that the snow on this thing isn't like in the old movies where they made the snow out of asbestos. Could we have an asbestos Christmas tree? Probably not. Okay, so last container is also one where there's a bunch of problems here and there. You see here the moss in this area just going crazy. I don't know what it does there, but it will become a problem. At some point, you just have to take them out and transplant them into a new container, because this is bad. This is just too much greenery in and around the seedlings. You can, at some point, you can no longer see where the seedlings begin and where the jungle continues. So I would try to take that a little bit away, just to give them, the seedlings, some a little bit better drainage, because everywhere you have that moss, the water just doesn't really soak in. It just stays there. And very often moss isn't really doesn't require to remove it. It depends on the species. Some moss species are more annoying than others. And it has grown everywhere around the seedlings. This is just annoying. You are a nuisance, moss. Apart from that, I will close it up again. Seedlings look great. So it's not really a big problem yet, because the seedlings still look great. You know, you could argue that they are looking super healthy with the moss. But what often happens is you have healthy seedlings, and then suddenly you don't have that anymore. You have just, you see that a bunch of the roots are rotten, that kind of stuff. And that could happen with that moss, which is a bit disappointing. Okay, so let's go to the seeds. I have a bunch here. Just trying to get this away first. It's just too much stuff on this table. Okay. So let me see. Oh, this is Imperialis. That is nice, but I need to really think about it. Okay. Because I have different Imperialis. Imperialis is a hybrid, and it's such an old hybrid that it came up, I don't know, not on a huge scale old, but from the 70s, maybe from the 60s. And that hybrid was also described. It got the name Echinopsis imperialis, I think. That was the name where it was described with. And Imperialis, hybrid between Cerenzia telegona and Echinopsis irisi grandiflora. Some of those plants also go around under the label Brevispinulosus, Trichocereus brevispinulosus. That name is often used for hybrids with Telegonus, with Cerenzia telegonus, because there are quite a few around. Over the years, you have the Teleflora hybrids by Robert Gräser, and they have a more pinkish kind of flower. And you have others that are a little bit more white, like Imperialis. The Imperialis hybrids that I have, both have white flowers. One of them has much bigger flowers than the other. So there's a big range. There are different kind of cultivars with that name around, and I have two, and both clearly have hybrid genetics in them. And you can really see that the other one with the big flowers, that the flowers are huge, like 23, 24 centimeters. And this is where it's the mother plant of the seeds here. So these are good seeds. That's the point that I want to make. These are good seeds, and I want to clean them. It's a good plant to have. With these big flowers, I'm always happy when that thing manages to grow a fruit. And the plant is a little bit winter tender, maybe. And every year I'm worried that I lose the plant. So it's good. So it's always great to have seeds from that plant. And there were not many seeds. When I look at this now, I believe it's maybe 150 seeds. But in view of the rarity of this thing and the interestingness, like I said, there are quite a few Imperialis cultivars around, but this is the one with by far the biggest flowers. 23, 24, the flower, it just opened up. It was everywhere. It was really nice. But a little bit more frost sensitive. I tried rooting a cutting, and I lost that in winter. So far, I guess I had maybe 4 or 5 fruits from that plant. And last year, it were multiple, I think. 2 or 3. I believe. I really need to look at it, but I believe there were 2. And I also did a time lapse with this plant, by the way. The time lapse that I did had it opening up in a weird way. The flower was mutated, had a little bit, like one half was missing. So it looked great on the time lapse. Really good time lapse video. And we need to grow them. That's just what we need to grow these. This is the type of stuff that needs to be grown by a breeder. We all have those hybrids where we know, oh, this is a great cross. This should really, this should have been in the soil already 6 months ago. That's the kind of stuff, and I want to sow them out soon. Okay. Yeah, but a lot of dirt also wasn't cleaned properly. Yeah, and in all those Imperialis hybrids, if you compare them to Brevis spinulosus, it's basically the same type of plant. You can just see that Telegonus was involved. Telegonus has such a characteristic body that you can always spot it in the ribs, where it has these unique kind of ribs, and in the flowers, because the structure of the skin of the flower is just so unique, and it has that unique kind of discoloration, reddish, even reddish. When a plant has reddish spines, very often it comes from Telegonus. It has some sort of a, like in a hybrid. When you have a hybrid with reddish spines, that is a trait that you often see from Telegonus. Cerensea telegona, Echinopsis telegona. It's just an amazing species for hybrid breeding because the flowers are so big, they are beautiful, and the plants flower early. The body that it passes down is always interesting. The older I got, the more I learned to appreciate hybrids with Cerensea telegona. I thought I'm hearing something, and it's basically drip water from the water fountain. I just felt like I'm really sick today. You know, when you have a flu or something like that, and you feel like, am I already seeing things? Okay. It's cleaner now. Not really 100% clean, but cleaner. And I want to sow them out. I just need to remember it. Usually when I want to sow something out, I say, we will do this, we will sow it out, and then next day I have forgotten about it. So I just need to make sure that I don't forget about this. Okay. And I really want to propagate that plant, that Imperialis hybrid. I already cut it last year. Took a cutting, and I only took off a small part to just root that tiny tip. And I think that worked. And now the plant has another area where it can pop from, and I just hope it will do it. I just hope it will do it next year. Because that's a cool plant, and I would love to propagate it also. Most of the Imperialis hybrids on the market have smaller flowers. They have flowers that maybe 15 centimeters, 14 centimeters. The flowers of this one is like 10 centimeter bigger. That's insane. That's a lot of, that's big. Oh, definitely. I need but honestly, I'm already happy when the old year is over. But apart from that, my agenda for the new year is just to do something good with the channel, to make use of all the chances that I have now. I never had so many chances, never had such a good opportunity to do something. Have a big community that watches my stuff, and next season we're going into the time lapses and the streaming from outside. That's I want to succeed with the channel. That's my agenda for the next year. And maybe a greenhouse in the near future, but that isn't even so important. Long term, once the channel grows, I would just, things will become a little bit easier, that kind of stuff. That is what I want in life. I want to be able to have want to be able to do this, continue doing what I do as my life, as my job, and also spend time with Mika, Kami, with my family a little bit. Just trying to regroup and go from there. Better future, all that kind of stuff. Maybe there's something for me in the future. Oh, oh yeah, I could. I should actually write everything down. But then again, I never do it. So yeah, but I should actually write it down. I don't like when someone is telling me what to do, and especially not when it's myself. So yeah, I would look at that the next day and would think, maybe not, maybe tomorrow, and then I would forget. Okay, so Imperialis, and I just wrote huge on the piece of paper, so I know what version of Imperialis this was. Okay, we will be sowing them out. I already have a bunch also where I said we need to sow them out, so seedlings everywhere. I can imagine it. It will be terrible, it will be a nightmare. There will be plants everywhere, but it will be awesome also a little bit. Okay. So this morning I was watching television, and I was watching how is it called in English? Look Who's Talking Now, like that kind of a Christmas movie. Look Who's Talking Now, where they've been where they had some sort of a dub like over the kids, and it was talking, that kind of stuff. It was such a classic Christmas movie, and that's what I watched this morning with Kirstie Alley, a very young Kirstie Alley, John Travolta. That's what I watched this morning. It's also one of the movies that I hadn't seen since I was a kid. And it wasn't terrible, but also, I mean, it's not really cinema, but it's a funny movie. Okay, so these are from Schaffery Yellow. Now Schaffery Red. I have two different versions of Schaffery. One has nice yellow ruffled flowers, and this one has nice reddish flowers, not ruffled, but really good color. It looked great this year, and I had 3 fruits on it, and all of them were full. So maybe self-fertility, maybe not, we'll see. But it's definitely on my on my list of things that I could very well see that this is self-fertile plant. So, and what I want to say with Schaffery, for example, Schaffery is the type of plant that nobody recognizes when you see it. Very few people would actually be able to identify Schaffery just when you're seeing it, and that I would include myself even. Sometimes when you put it aside, a flying saucer hybrid, it will look exactly like that. It will. You need to see the flower. You need to kind of know the species. You have to know where it's flowering from. So it's a hard to identify plant. And when you find it, it's usually mislabeled as Spachianus. Trichocereus spachianus or Echinopsis spachiana. So that species is often mislabeled. And that is the reason why there are so many different stories about Spachianus being self-fertile. You hear a lot of stories about Spachianus, and the plant may very well be self-fertile. But the fact that so many people can't distinguish it from stuff like Schaffery, which is clearly self-fertile, shows that maybe the species is actually not self-fertile. I wanted to have a really typical kind of Spachianus to test it, but so far none of my plants really look like Spachianus that I've grown from seeds. I've grown a bunch of different Spachianus seeds, and I got Folianus, like that's a species name. Then I got Schaffery. I got Telegonoides from Spachianus seeds. So the species is so often misidentified that it becomes hard to actually have a clear opinion about it in regards to fertility and whether or not it is self-fertile. So and these have a beautiful flower. So it will make sense to sow them out even if they are self-fertile. I hope you will get your greenhouse soon. I keep telling everyone this story, but because it's true. If you have a little bit time, make sure to constantly monitor pages like Marketplace or Craigslist, that kind of stuff, and you always have to look into the new ones every 10 minutes or every 20 minutes, and then you can often find greenhouses where older people just want them gone. That happens a lot. A lot of cactus breeders are older, and a lot of them eventually get to a point where they no longer want to deal with all that. So they just put out an ad and say, hey guys, take this greenhouse from me, and you can have it for free or sometimes $100. I've seen the most amazing greenhouses go for just $100 because the person had to pick it up. And if you really put effort into it, you can really find a good greenhouse for very little money. You just have to pick it up. So keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. I did that for a very long time. But right now, I wouldn't be able to pick it up because you need a pretty big car. And I've sold my car because it was so expensive to pay for the insurance, the constant insurance of the car. Just made it. It was constantly not starting because I was driving so rarely, so it made no sense. But if you have a car and you are able to pick something up with it, which is a little bit bigger, then you can make some great purchases in regards to greenhouses. Just check Marketplace every 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, because the good stuff is always sold within short time. So That's why I'm looking forward to a point where you can just say, hey, I have a greenhouse that I need to be picked up at this site. And, you send some sort of automatic driving system to pick it up. That would be great. Something like that is something that I always wanted to have, because I always came across these, like when you look into Craigslist, eBay, Marketplace, you constantly find something cool, but it's at a different part of the country. So if you can regularly pick that kind of stuff up, it can be great. Some of the greenhouses that I saw, they even had a heater in them. Heater already, and equipment, pots, everything. When I picked up a big collection, it had thousands of pots with them. Yeah, you need to always look at the photos. You need to look to know which is a good model and which one isn't. There's just these classic mass propagated greenhouses that you always see, where they are always doing drop shipping, basically. And it comes under different names because it's just a drop shipped product that they put their name on. And you need to know how to avoid that kind of a terrible kind of quality. At a certain point, you just know how the quality looks like, how a greenhouse is built. When you see something like insulation at a greenhouse, that's always where you should become interested. And the panel size, the thicker the panel, the more expensive that thing is sometimes. And yeah, if you know how to spot a good greenhouse, you can sometimes save a lot of money there. I've seen greenhouses that probably cost 10,000 $10,000 at the time when they got them, and they were barely used. I'm always amazed when I see how sometimes you can be lucky. Life is sometimes you also have luck. Yeah, but the good ones should. That's what I mean. A good greenhouse, you can recognize it by the way you build it. And the more difficult it is to build, and the more difficult it is to undo a mistake that you did, the cheaper the greenhouse. A good greenhouse should be built in a way where you can take it apart, where you can take every piece apart and just put it together again at a different site. And yeah, that's all stuff. Only the cheap greenhouses, I don't want to say only, but most of the cheap greenhouses have one thing in common, and that is how difficult they are to build, and that you can no longer take them apart again, because it's basically just like the greenhouse version of IKEA, like that chain, that furniture chain that builds the relatively affordable stuff. Most of the people have no problem building that stuff once, but if you want to just take it apart again and rebuild it in a new house, then you can see the difference between quality and that kind of garbage stuff that's also available. Okay. Shafari red, harvested on August 25th. Okay, yeah, and a lot of seeds, and the seeds are tiny. So this is really classic Sörensia seeds. Back in the day, if you would just look at the size of the seeds, you could already get an idea of what kind of plants belong together and which ones don't. A lot of the Sörensia that I've shown here, while I was cleaning seeds, they had very small seeds. And here on the other hand, beside me, much bigger seeds from a columnar species. There's just seed size tells you a little bit about them. Okay. Yesterday we had a beautiful day. I was out with Mika and Kami, and I was out the whole day. It was such a long day, and I was already pretty not healthy yesterday. And I was always out with Mika or Kami, just because the weather was so nice. They loved it so much that I just never stayed inside. I want to make use of the few good days that we have right now when the sun is out, because I'm sure we will get a lot of time when we can barely go out because it's so cold. And right now, yesterday, there was sun, was blue sky everywhere. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to clean this here. And there's a lot of dirt in it. Yeah, I was out with Kami yesterday, I don't know, 7-8 times. And that's already getting to the point where it's ridiculous. But right now, Kami can't stay out very long because it's so cold. So I go out with her, and we stay out maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then she gets too cold again and wants to go inside. But after 10 minutes of warming up, Kami's ready again. So I'm doing it because I just want her to have a nice life. You know, she's so old now, and every day where she's still here, I'm happy and I'm thankful that she's still here. So I just try to do it now, knowing that we might come to the days when things are a little bit more difficult, when she's maybe not so healthy, or also when it's too cold that she can no longer go out like this. And every now and then I also manage to film a little bit of cactus stuff in between. But it's hard. You always have to keep an eye on her. She's just interested in crawling into a dump somewhere, whatever. You know, she's always following the mice, and I don't want her out when she, like now when it's so cold, when she might become confused, whatever. She's basically a grandma. Okay. And after the first, so when the new year begins, we will instantly start with the trees. I wanted to do that before, but I always had something new that had priority. And right now I have a lot of paperwork that I need to fill out. And once that's done, then I would focus on the trees. We would take apart the trees in the next couple of weeks. It's time now. We can only do it for a limited part of the year. So that will happen within the next couple of weeks. Just waiting for the new year begin so I can focus on something else. With this year, I constantly had something new. First, it was the window, fixing the window. Then it was making sure that there's enough heating oil to heat the house. And now I'm slowly getting to the point where I can focus and can do my cactus stuff again. It's just so hard right now. Like normal life, just having a normal life, it's become so difficult. Just not having a cold house in winter. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it being a little bit easier. Okay. Yeah, the seeds are so small that every now and then I sort them out. Sorted quite a bunch of viable seeds out here. It's hard to say how many seeds these are, but I suppose maybe 500, 400 to 500 definitely. They are just so small that it becomes hard to measure, but I suppose it could even be 600. 600 seeds from one fruit. That's pretty good. And that often, when you have something like that, self-fertility could play a role here. Could have played a role. I'm not complaining, but once you have a hybrid that's self-fertile, you can mostly use it as a father and not so much as a mother, because everything would always go into a similar direction. The offspring would look similar every time. So that's why I try to avoid working with too many self-fertile hybrids. They can be useful, they can be great, but very often it's just a waste of time. You grow them and you spend 5 years or maybe 4 years to grow them, and then the thing looks exactly like the mother. I mean, where's the fun in that? So that's why, in my opinion, it's not great to continue breeding with them as a mother. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because you spend so much time, you grow them, and if they are really self-fertile, you will reliably get to a similar kind of result. Of course, you can also have that one odd little seedling here and there that has amazing flowers, but very often what I see is similar flowers to the mother in case of these here. So Shafari red, and again, this plant looked amazing. If you want to have something that you planned out, oops, I kicked the camera, that you planned out and that gives you fruit that you can eat, cactus fruit, if you like that kind of stuff, that could be one of those that makes sense. But apart from that, there's not huge potential in hybrid breeding with them. Fruit harvested on August 25th and now cleaned. So that took too long. Not a good thing to wait that long. I mean, I cleaned them right away, but we only now bagged it. Okay. Yeah, we'll do one or two more. Apart from that, at some point, my smartphone camera would just turn off. So if I at some point gotta leave the chat, I will tell you. But for now, I'll be around for a little bit longer. Okay, yeah, these are bigger seeds, and you can see it instantly looks a little bit different shape, different seed shape. Even some of them are looking a little bit reflective, shiny, and these don't. And I still remember when I bought me the first cactus books, and when I started getting into cacti, they were still arguing about what the size and the shape of the seeds can tell you about the cacti and their family tree. And they were arguing about that a lot. And at the time, the opinion was that it's not so important, apparently. But the older I got, the more that kind of approach changed. In cactus literature, all these botanists suddenly started taking a closer look at the seeds. And yeah, I mean, the fact that DNA testing has now outlined a basic map and showed that certain species actually belong to Sörensia, that kind of stuff. And now you look at the size of the seeds, and that size was clear from the beginning. That size already had the right idea. Can I put them in the right direction? But at the time, cactus taxonomy and all the books and all the writers, they just went into a different direction a little bit. Okay. So these columnar and the others afterwards, a hybrid with Marcola. I'm not sure if I will get to that, but I will try to clean these a little bit. And then I'll get to the other one probably. I want to make progress with the seeds. It's bothering me that it's taken so long. Okay. And once the new year begins, I will order the Jiffy pots that I want to have for the vegetables that we will be sowing out. And this year in summer, we will plant a bunch of shrubs, maybe some sort of fruit shrubs that we can distribute over the garden. I have a huge place here, and right now it's a jungle, and I really want to get it under control. So at some point, I will try to replace a little piece every year or a few pieces every year with something that is useful, like vegetables or like fruit trees, like fruit shrubs, something like that, like nuts. I want to plant a bunch of nut trees on the channel, and I hope that we can get them to adulthood. Like, I don't know how long I will be here. I don't know how long a walnut tree needs until it flowers, but we should get started, I guess, is what I'm telling. So yeah, that's my plan for the year. Doing more planting out. Okay. But I'm really making progress here. Every day I'm cleaning maybe 5, 6 different kind of crosses. So at least there's something happening. So this was a really dirty cross. Let me see if I have something where I can scrape off the seeds, because yeah, here's a knife. I just want to get the seeds off the paper towel, but there's so much stuff that shouldn't even have gotten into the seeds, into the sieve. I had started cleaning them way too late. Just was a theme this year on the channel because so many other things were happening with the divorce. This year I was really not having a thing for the cacti. Like I was just trying to get through the day. And then you have all this cactus stuff that you also need to take care of. It's a great thing. What we're doing here is a great thing. It's a great hobby and all, and also great business when everything is going good. But once things are becoming difficult in life, like when you are living besides packed bags and stuff like that, divorce and the classic feelings that you're going through, it's a hard thing because you need to function. You can't really say no. You can't really say no in summer when the flowers are there, when they are opening. They open no matter what. And you can't really say no when you have all the fruit that needs to be processed. Overall, it's really easier to clean the seeds right away. The longer you wait cleaning the seeds, the more difficult, the more dirty it becomes. On the other hand, I've seen a lot of people do that where they basically let the seeds ferment in a way. They kind of put them like in a plastic bag, something like that, and let everything rot until nothing is left but the seeds. I've seen that being done a few times now, and it allows you to clean everything a little bit better, even ironically, because the moment you put that thing into the sieve, it dissolves. So it can make sense to just let the cactus fruits, I don't know, put them in a bag somewhere. Let's call it ferment. And then run it through the sieve, because then all the structures, the cell structures are broken down. But yeah, you also have a lot of rotten fruit lying around, which I don't like. Just from the perspective of you have to live there too. You can't just keep 500 rotting fruit somewhere stacked on top of each other. So yeah, I think this is pretty much it. I think I got most of the seeds out here, out of the paper towel. So what happens very often, the organic material stays on the paper towel, and that allows you to clean it. But the more organic remnants from the fruit you still have in there, the more difficult it just gets, the more work it makes you afterwards. And I'm still finding seeds here and there that are just like once the pulp dries up, the remnants of the pulp, once everything dries up, it's very compact and you can't see the seeds anymore. You need to really look into the paper towel and see if there's not something hiding in the layer below. I love olive trees. I would love to grow olive trees here, but it's a little bit too cold, just a little bit. But that's apparently how it is right now. The winter temperature, usually it isn't so cold, so maybe they could even make it, but every now and then we get -10, -15 Celsius, and that might be too much. I remember I looked into that because I wanted to, because I have too much land here where I'm not sure what to do with it. So I thought about planting an olive tree, but I don't think it would make it. I don't think it would make it through the winter. But I'm currently experimenting a lot with that because so many plants, like because the climate has changed so much, that at some point I might be able to grow certain plants here that didn't make it in the past. So what does it mean when you say they need a big cut? Do you need to, I don't know, graft them or what? Or do you need to make sure that they have the right, that it doesn't freeze in winter? That kind of stuff, maybe. I could see that where you remove everything, like all the fresh kind of grows. But I don't even eat olives, you know. It's not something that I actually enjoy eating, but I love that the idea to have an olive tree. Like maybe a fresh olive tastes better than what you get when you buy it like on the market or something like that, you know. I always wanted to have an olive tree. And I wanted to plant wine, like the classic wine plant. Not far from where I live, they have these big wineland mountains where everything's basically monoculture wine. So they might survive here. Temperature might be all right. Okay. So when I'm done with these, I think I will go offline. What was this again? Macola. Hybrid that I got from Uwe Kahle. And it looks a little bit different than the classic Macola that I've seen on photos. So I'm not sure if it's actually Macola. But the flower is great. Has a lot of contrast. Interesting kind of body. So these seeds could have potential, like in a similar way that Pink Stripes has potential. Could certainly happen that the offspring here, that this will look like all those purple, pinkish kind of Verlets hybrids. But if you can manage to combine that with the right father, you just have a great flower. They could be great. You still see amazing flowers from just Verlets Cantora. And in this case, I think the parents are a little bit different because the body looks different. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the body of Bamboy. So maybe that one's involved there. Or a similar plant. So I'm looking forward now spending a little bit more time with Mika and Kami today. Later I might go outside, do a little bit of filming. We'll see. But I'm just glad that today is Sunday. Shops are closed. No mail coming. I love that. That will be the one thing when I get rich. I will not deal with mail anymore. Nothing that I got in the mail. I mean, every now and then I get good mail. But most of the time it's just people wanting that, like invoices and bills and all that stuff. If I ever get really rich, that thing that I will buy is the luxury to just say no when it's about, I don't know, letters, post, problems that you get every day. In my life, I got a lot of, when I go to the mailbox, I always have that in the back of my mind that I hope nothing bad is in the mailbox. One day that will be gone. I would just not look after my mail anymore. It doesn't matter. Once you have a certain kind of income, you can just say, okay, I'll let someone take over. Throw them in the trash, please. That's what I would try to do. Get someone to just open the mailbox, take the bills out, and throw them in the trash. Okay. So I think I will end the stream now. This has been great. Been a lot of fun. So thank you guys for participating, for being around. I appreciated it. I'll be back tomorrow. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. It probably protects the plant from frost, from not being able to. I'm sure that certain fresh growth is a little bit easier to freeze. It freezes easier than some of the older growths. So I guess that's what's probably done. Okay. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, guys. If not, I would just post daily stuff again in the next couple of weeks. I will try to film again very soon. And I will do more seedling videos again. Because I realized it's a little bit difficult to do it in the stream. Because there was dirt everywhere. There were insects crawling out of the pot. So I will try to do it in a video where I can have a little bit more control and can pause when I have a little bug that I need to bring outside again. So yeah, there will be more stuff coming soon. So thank you guys. I love that, and I will be back again tomorrow. Thank you. And thank you about the stuff with the olives. I really want to have an olive tree one day. Not now, but maybe in a few years if the climate gets a little bit warmer. It's terrible on the greater sense, but maybe I can grow a few trees that I wasn't able to grow earlier. Okay, so thank you. Bye, guys.